When your avoidant ex abandons you, you feel like you would do anything in order to get them back. This is because avoidant partners can blow into your life and come over you like a spell. They're good at creating the facade of someone who is perfect for you. That's why when they finally show their true colors of cowardice or indifference, it blindsides you. And if you have the audacity to say, hang on, this is how much I care, you're met with what seems like utter contempt for you and your weak behavior. So eventually you're emotionally bullied into backing off. But just when you feel like their spell on you is broken, one little piece of contact with them sends you into a cycle of destruction all over again. I'm sure you've seen a How to Get Your Ex Back video that prominently feature the Holy Grail, that avoidant who came back, and thousands tune in to hear what the avoidant has to say. Well, yeah, because we make them so important. Well, today I'd like to go through a scenario from a man who I will call Maverick that will break the spell of the charming avoidant and give you a glimpse into the reality of what people like this are actually capable of. So grab that bottle of nail polish, because maybe by the end you won't be so eager to find out how to get an avoidant to come back. All right, Maverick writes, "Hi Maria, I wanted to get your opinion on a woman I saw for only 3 months, although the aftermath of this breakup has stretched to over a year. I think she might be avoidant or even narcissistic, though I am hesitant to label." Well, maybe we have some people in the comments who could give their opinion on that today. "We entered into the relationship quickly, and when we were together for that 3 months, the relationship was so intense. I feel almost like I'm withdrawing right now, going through my days without her, and even now, over a year after the breakup, I am still suffering. I feel like I was fine before I met this woman, who I will call Sabrina. I was looking for a monogamous relationship with someone long-term, and when I dated women, I would always have a let's see how this goes attitude. I'm divorced from my ex-wife, with whom I share a son, and we have managed to keep a pretty good working relationship through it all. I feel like all of my past relationships ended without too much drama. I've never experienced anything like this. A woman like Sabrina. With Sabrina, I disclosed in the beginning that I was looking for a serious, monogamous relationship. And like a song on a loop, I remember over and over her wide eyes as she eagerly agreed. We had so much in common, it felt magical. We were in constant contact when we weren't physically together. We were texting, video calling, always excited to talk about the future. I was in love, and then suddenly everything took a 180 turn, practically overnight. This was right after we had gone on a trip together to visit some of her old friends. I left early to go back for work, but Sabrina stayed longer. The day I left, we were saying goodbye, and she told me she felt herself needing to withdraw. And when I asked what she meant, she shrugged, and she told me that she had a bad habit of sabotaging things right when they were going good. I got nervous, and I asked her if she was breaking up with me, but she shook her head and began talking about how I was the best thing that ever happened to her. She just needed some time to wrap her head around that fact. And then she mentioned moving in together someday. But after I got home, I got a text from her saying that she didn't think she could be in a relationship right now. And I said, "So we're breaking up then, right?" To which she replied, "Whoa, don't think of this in such extreme terms." So then I assumed we weren't actually broken up, and I figured I'll see where this goes. But that is a mindset I would live to regret, because throughout that entire summer, we were not broken up, but we weren't together either. Her communication was inconsistent and cold, very unlike how she was when we had first begun dating. Plus, when I would begin to take space knowing that this was not healthy for me, she would pick up on my silence and she would want me back. One week, when I finally put my foot down and said I was done, she told me she didn't want me to go. She told me this was all the fault of her avoidant attachment style. But she did apologize for her behavior. And I thought, well, at least she knows she has a problem. So now it's something that she can work on. Maverick continues, it did not take long for Sabrina to go cold again. And one thing I noticed was all the pictures she posted of us on social media when we took that trip to see her friends. She took them down. That's not good. When I asked her why, she said, I don't remember doing that. Okay, well, that means she's either lying, she was under the influence when it happened, or she is totally out to lunch. And in either of those scenarios, it's still not good. Maverick says, but when I pressed farther, she admitted they gave the impression that we were in a relationship when we aren't. Yeah, the woman who begged you not to leave, right? She just gave you your answer. She gave you your answer quite a while back, but we'll get into that after I finish reading the letter. And it's really pretty sick too, because at this point, you are still in each other's lives. The two of you definitely have a relationship. It's not a healthy one. It's not the relationship that you were hoping for. But the fact that she denies the relationship even exists is gaslighting on the highest level. But I don't like this woman for you, Maverick. I think she's mean. Okay, Maverick continues. This confusion went on for months, which is why I'm so mad at myself. I feel like I betrayed myself in order to enable her behavior. But please understand the kind of mind tricks that she was playing. Maverick, everyone here understands. One time I tried to get space, and she sent me a message saying that she was afraid I was pulling away, and that she had started making a private list of all the naughty little things she wanted to do with me. But funnily enough, when we did see each other again, there was never any intimacy or any mention of that naughty list. Big surprise. I think you guys will find that with avoidance, a lot of times, especially after that the fireworks have died down from the very beginning of the relationship, there's always that elusive promise of this incredible time. But they'll either start a fight to create distance, or they'll use some kind of substance and start yelling at you. It's like the fun times are promised, but they never actually seem to materialize. Maverick says, one day I finally told her that was it. We were breaking up. And she looked at me so sad. Why is she sad? You're not even in a relationship, remember? She should be looking at you like you're crazy. Like, what are you talking about, Maverick? You're not even my boyfriend. How could we possibly break up? I mean, no wonder you are so confused. She doesn't even know where she's at. Because I'll tell you, if a man who was not my boyfriend insisted that we were breaking up, I wouldn't look at him sad. I would look at him like he was delusional. And then I would probably stay the heck away from him because I would assume he was dangerous. But the very next morning, he says, she sent me a picture of herself saying, I'm off to breakfast with the girls, with loads of heart emojis. And I responded, you look great, but please, for my own mental health, we cannot continue to have contact. But Maverick says, over time, Sabrina continued to breadcrumb text, which I did begin to ignore. And when I ignored them, she would double down, claiming I was being mean. And now I could really see that it was always all about her. That knowledge helped me stay strong for 2 months of no contact. Then I sent her a letter telling her my version of the events that transpired and how they affected me. She told me that she got my letter, and then 2 weeks after going silent on me, she sent me a text about something unimportant, unrelated, and then when I mentioned the letter, she went silent all over again. Yeah, you keep in contact with people like this, they will always get the one up on you. See, they're gonna win right now because you are someone who is okay with showing feelings and showing that you care, which does not make you a loser, by the way. You're going to win in the long run. See, she's gonna get all of her petty little games in right now, and then she's gonna continue to be miserable in her future relationships. But you'll be good because you're strong enough to try to help yourself. Someone like Sabrina, she has labeled herself as an avoidant, and she is happy to use it as an excuse to treat you like dirt. Maverick says, how can I heal from this and get free? Maverick, reading your email really affected me because I know what it's like to try to take space from someone who continues to contact you whenever they sense you're trying to do what's best for you and walk away. So I want to go and comb through your letter. I'd first like to say that with people like Sabrina, nothing with them is ever going to be clear. For example, like when you in no uncertain terms asked her if you guys were broken up the first time she said she felt herself withdrawing, she said, oh, don't think of it in such extreme terms. But Maverick, it's not extreme, it's clarity. And people like this don't want to give clarity because they're confused about what they want. It's important that in the future, you give yourself clarity, and when you hear things like this, you know that it's time for you to make the decision to break it off. But I understand it's hard to just break things off after you've fallen in love, especially after you have fallen in love with the version of them that showed up in the beginning of the relationship. And where was her admittance of self-sabotage when she was all wide-eyed and agreeing with you about wanting a long-term relationship? Where was that in the beginning? All right, you say that you quickly integrated her into almost every waking hour of your day. Well, now Sabrina has become your daily, like throughout the day, you're getting a constant hit of dopamine that is coming from this specific woman. It's a habit, and habits are hard to break. Not to mention that in any relationship, this is the fastest way to burn a relationship out within the first couple of months if you're seeing each other all the time. You said that you guys were in constant contact. And, quick and intense relationships also have a way of bringing all of our past junk to the surface. And this is why I encourage people, please do your best to pace yourself in the beginning of a relationship. Get together once or twice a week. Not just, hey, I like you and you like me. Let's hang out every single evening. Now, you say that you approach relationships with a let's see how it goes outlook. And what I want to shed light on here is the attitude. This attitude lacks agency in your own decisions. And it always gives the other person all the power to dictate the pace and the status of the relationship. And when you give up all of the decision making, it leaves you incredibly vulnerable because perhaps there is something in you that attracts women who are bullies. But the fact is, the agency comes in with who you allow to stay. And I do understand that these people can show up acting like they are in line with all of your values of monogamy and commitment, but that's why you go slow and you let them prove it. Men can show up as white knights with handsome promises, like, oh, I'm getting goosebumps. I remember what that feels like. And women can show up as these charming creatures who are fun and sexy, and they draw you in. Okay, let's keep going. You say that you guys began to talk about the future together. Well, Sabrina's all about the future. Someday we're going to move in together. And oh, look at this naughty little list of things we're going to do together someday. But you know what she's doing, Maverick? Sabrina is fueling something called limerence. Limerence is an addictive thought pattern where we can get dopamine at the thought of a potential future with someone, even if that scenario has not come into fruition yet. And while there's nothing wrong with daydreaming about the future with someone that you've fallen in love with, if you have a tendency to attach to people quickly, you can also get attached to that future. And then if the relationship fizzles out in a few months, which is common, it's harder for us to let go because now we're not just mourning the person, we're mourning all the plans we laid in our minds. Now it's devastating, not just to the relationship, but to all aspects of your life. And you latch on and go back to these limerent thoughts in your darkest times, times where your brain finally begins to accept the reality that she's never going to be with you. Now, we can become limerent without the other person contributing. However, in this case, whether or not Sabrina even knows what limerence is, she is encouraging it to blossom in you. She won't be with you in reality, but she's provoking these limerent fantasy images of a future together. And it actually may have felt good for Sabrina to say things like, I want a future and I want a family, and something inside of her deep down probably does, but she quickly revealed that that wasn't at all in the cards for her reality. And on the same note, let's say that Sabrina was serious about moving in together. It is my experience, as I'm sure is with many people watching this, moving in with someone after only a few months can really complicate your life. Especially if you have an abandonment wound, you can end up in years of anguish trying to fit together a relationship that was never going to work. But there was never enough time to figure that out before the big move in. Well, now they are enmeshed in your home, your social circle, your kids, your finances. I want you to find love, but I also want you to protect yourself. And these relationships can cost us so much of ourselves. We give up everything, one piece at a time. And in particularly abusive situations, it can cost us years of trying to become whole again. Healthy relationships involve two whole people with agency, coming together and contributing in their own way to boost the other person up. And then over time, you can build something meaningful together. Maverick, when you are so impatient and you want to build something overnight, see, this is how Sabrina was able to continuously come back. She would say, hey, don't go away. I want to grow and have that future together. A future that in your scarcity mindset, now only she could provide. So when she says that, these are like magic words that suck you back in. Like, oh no, I've lost it all. Oh, but now she's giving it back. People like Sabrina do not give you a future. They tear it down. They cost you healthy relationships because you're so caught up in their junk. And they wiggle back in, especially if they apologize. But if someone is really remorseful, they stop the behavior or they are active in repairing what they broke. She says that she has an avoidant attachment. Okay, but is she telling you this so she can work on it? Or is she just blaming everything on it? Because there is a difference. And what's going to end up happening if this continues to go on is she'll just disappear, or she'll pull something totally out of line, and she'll always turn around and say, Maverick, you knew I was like this. I told you I was like this. But people like this will also very conveniently forget all of the wonderful things they told you in the beginning, like, I heart monogamy, can't wait for all that commitment. And it's important not to even take too much stock in words in the beginning, because this woman who told you that monogamy was so important took down photos of the two of you together because something in her wanted to appear single and carefree. And that could have been her targeting another man, or it was just the manifestation of her anxiety about commitment coming out, like she's rebelling against the thought of being committed. She says she's avoidant, which means she probably does have anxiety over commitment, but she also obviously knows how to keep men around. And she made that clear when she future faked a list of all the naughty things you guys were going to act out together. And Maverick, the thing is, if a woman ever really wanted to be very manipulative or really hook a guy in, one strategy is to be very mean to him and then promise him wild bedroom fun or throw him wild bedroom fun intermittently. And that's the nature of it. And I think some women know this. And some women, not all, but some women use this knowledge to manipulate otherwise well-meaning guys. And I can only imagine she must have given you the razzle-dazzle and you didn't say, but I'm sure the bedroom was insane. You said that that relationship was nothing like you've ever had before. And I'm sure the bedroom was like that too, or at least it felt that way. If you've ever read the book Avoidant, the author talks about how it's the other person's indifference of attachment. It overexcites our attachment system. So is the bedroom phenomenal, or does it feel that way? Because of how we've been wired to respond to people who are only half in. I once had an avoidant boyfriend who would put the side of his thumb like right here on my lower lip, and I went crazy for it. It was like you said, I would picture it on loop all the time, especially after he discarded me. But if you think about it, that's nothing taboo or earth-shattering. It's not even that different. The difference was how I was responding to his indifference. That validation from his attention felt better than it should have had I had a healthier relationship with myself. And looking back, I certainly no longer think of it as the best I've ever had. It wasn't even real. Who cares? Like if a tree falls in the woods and all that. I mean, it was just fake in the end. Sabrina wasn't even being real with you when she first showed up to the relationship. You said one morning, or it was the next morning, she sent you a picture of herself saying, "I'm off to breakfast with the girls," with loads of heart emojis. And you responded that she looked great, but for your own mental health, please let's not have any contact. You shouldn't have even sent her that much validation. But Maverick, welcome to the other half, where we know attraction is not just about looks. We also need to take care of the inner half. Because it's important to understand you don't need your ex's permission to go no contact. And I have a video all about that subject that I will link in the description below. The dangerous thing about wanting closure in the form of one more meeting or one more letter. The danger is the person who hurt you is not the solution. Sometimes I think that we trick ourselves into thinking that closure is closure, but we're really using it as a way to try to get them back. But what's really dangerous about it is it's also a way that someone like Sabrina could continue to manipulate you. And in the case of limerence, where you feel hooked on this person, any exposure can cause the unhealthy pattern to start up all over again. There are times when you've been abandoned, like after a marriage where kids are involved, or after a really serious relationship. There are times when a serious conversation really should happen. But in cases like this, people like Sabrina, they're never going to give you closure. You have to give it to yourself. And because you reached out to me, I'm going to give you my version of closure, because I know your brain hates open loops and it demands an answer in order to move forward. So, Maverick, all labels aside, Sabrina is an abusive person with a lot of problems that you didn't get to know well enough before you began completely integrating her into your life, which ultimately gave her too much power over your decisions. You can't help her, you can't fix her, you can't force her to be in a real relationship with you. All you can do is sit down and make a list of the red flags that you glossed over and the lessons that you learned. And then you take all of this and you add it to your arsenal when it comes to future relationships, which I hope you're open to, because not all women are like this. Case closured. It sounds abrupt after all the time that you've put into this, but that's what's required in order for you to not waste any more time and move on. No more letters, no more responding to texts. Block her if she continues to text you. Keep her blocked on social media. And remember to be insanely kind to yourself in the process. You are in need of kindness right now. We can't make people give us what we need, but we can give it to ourselves. And I know that you're mad at yourself, but with time and oxygen, your anger will course correct and be directed rightly toward the person who future faked, manipulated, and mistreated you. I have a nail polish called Plastic Jungle, and it reminds me of Sabrina because she's wild and beautiful and incredibly fake. But when I see it, I won't focus on her. We're done focusing on her. I'm going to say a prayer for you. And Maverick, because I wholeheartedly believe this is not the end of your story, I do have a video called 25 Years of Dating Advice that I'm going to link for you right here. My name is Maria Adriana. You did not have to live Maverick's life, but I certainly hope you can learn something from it. As always, thank you for visiting The Other Half.